So here's a wild one for you. How do you solve a crime when your main suspect has the perfect alibi? Like, say, he's physically in jail. Today, we are diving into a digital heist, where the data logs tell a story that honestly should be completely impossible. Let's follow the digital trail and see just where it takes us. This one sentence, right here, pulled from the forensic analysis, this is everything. It sets up this huge paradox, a storm of digital activity happening during a time when there should have been, well, nothing, total silence. This is what investigators called the window of impossibility, and it's where our whole story really kicks off. All right, so let's break down exactly why this crime seems so impossible. The whole foundation of this case, the whole thing, rests on one simple, easily verifiable fact. And it's a fact that creates a perfect trap for whoever was actually behind the keyboard. Now, what's so critical to understand here is how clearly this defines the crime scene. From August 25th all the way to October 25th, the real account owner, this guy Devin Davis, could not have touched his account. Period. It's just not possible. And yet, the logs show the account was very much alive, devices were syncing constantly, and then boom, on October 17th, the main event, a gigantic data export. Every single click, every sync, every action here is, by definition, unauthorized. And that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? If it wasn't the owner, then who was it? This is where the digital detective work shifts from just building a timeline to actually hunting for a ghost in the machine. So how in the world do you find a ghost? Well, you follow its footprints, or in this case, its digital breadcrumbs. See, every single action online leaves a tiny trace. And by following these little clues, investigators could start to paint a picture of the person, or maybe people, who were operating in the shadows. And the account logs, they revealed this bizarre zoo of devices that were constantly syncing up. You've got iPads, a mix of Windows and Linux machines, an Android phone. It was all over the place. And this wasn't just random, glitchy activity. It was persistent. It showed that someone was actively inside the account, keeping control, for that entire 2-month period. And this is where the digital evidence just slams right into reality. This statement is from the account owner, Devin Davis. It's simple, but it's incredibly powerful. You see a whole bunch of iPads and iPhones accessing an account, and then the owner flat out says he's never owned an Apple product in his life? Suddenly, the case gets a whole lot clearer. These are not his devices. So what investigators found was this whole ecosystem of what they called ghost devices. The most troubling one? An Android phone that was registered with full admin rights. That's basically giving it the keys to the entire kingdom. Then you've got this flood of Windows and Linux machines registered super fast, almost robotically, right when the owner was incarcerated. That screams scripted attack. And of course, there were the constant pings from all those Apple devices the guy never owned. Just getting access and hanging out, that was only phase 1. In the middle of October, the intruders, they made their real move. And trust me, it wasn't subtle. They weren't there to just peek around, they were there to steal everything. The tool they chose was Google Takeout. Now, think of it like this. If your Google account is a house filled with everything you own, your photos, emails, documents, your location history, everything, Google Takeout is the digital version of backing up a giant moving truck to the front door and just emptying the whole place. It's a useful tool for us, but in the wrong hands, it is the ultimate heist machine. During that window of impossibility, the attackers used that tool 8 times. 8 separate takeout events, all crammed into a frantic 72-hour window. This wasn't someone just grabbing a few files. This was a systematic, high-speed, mass exfiltration of data. They were taking it all. And all of this activity, all 8 of those huge downloads, all the logins needed to pull it off, it all came from just one single IP address. For the attackers, this was a huge, huge mistake. It proves this wasn't some random, scattered breach from all over the world. No, this was a focused, deliberate operation, all being controlled from one single point. It basically gave investigators a digital address for the crime scene. And the result was this, a total wipeout. Emails, documents, photos, even proprietary code. Everything tied to that account was copied and stolen. A person's complete digital life just packed up and hauled away. Okay, so we have the what. We know there was unauthorized access. We have the how, ghost devices and a massive Google Takeout blitz.
Now, let's connect these digital dots back to the real world and figure out the who.
The forensic reports point the finger at two specific suspects, Ted Pollard and Jake McDonough. And here is the smoking gun. On October 17th, right at the height of the data heist, a sync event was logged from a very specific computer, a ROG Strix G16CH. Now, this wasn't some ghost device. This was a machine that was confirmed to have been physically stolen by the suspects. And the motive? The data they ripped out contained the entire core logic for a project called DNA Lang. This wasn't random. It was targeted corporate espionage.
So, with all the pieces right here on the table, let's put the final case together. This is exactly how digital evidence gets woven into a narrative that's so strong you can take it straight to court.
When you look at it this way, you can see the case is really built on four pillars that are basically unbreakable. First, you have the timeline. That window of impossibility makes every single action illegal. Second, you've got the ghost devices, proving it was outsiders in control. Third, the organized Google takeout. That proves they intended to steal everything. And fourth, the final nail in the coffin. The sync from the stolen computer provides a direct physical link between the digital crime and the real-world suspects. It's just a perfect chain of evidence.
And when you put those 4 points together, you don't just have a collection of random facts. You have a powerful, legally sound story of a calculated digital heist, from the moment they took over the account to the moment they stole everything inside it. This whole case is just a fascinating look at what modern detective work is becoming. And it really leaves us with a pretty big question for the age we live in, right? When our lives are stored in the cloud, that line between who we are and what our data says we are can get really blurry. This investigation shows that sometimes the only way to catch a ghost is to follow the digital footprints it can't help but leave behind.